Hello once again to all our friends and all our listeners in Florence, across the PD, South Carolina, and around the country. Welcome once again to the Leo and Larry Show. My name is Reverend Leo Whitberry, and my co-host is
Larry.
the most notable. Yep. Go ahead again, Larry. I'm sorry, I was praising you.
I am Larry Smith.
Okay, thank you so much. And our guest this evening is Debra David, who is an organizer, an advocate, a leader par excellence in Richmond County. She heads up the Concerned Citizens of Richmond County, North Carolina, and has been at the White House across the country, and also has spoken with and at functions with Governor Cooper of North Carolina. So welcome, Debra, and tell us how you got started in this work, something about your background and what you're doing.
My name is Debra David. I have been into the biomass business here, but I call it a business because that's what it is. Making profit over people. But I've been involved in this for 10 years and also knew Reverend Leo with the New Alpha for 10 years. I have been to Piedmont College, that's the name now, it used to be Ansonville. I have a degree in commercial carpentry, women's commercial carpentry. And I also went to RCC here in Richmond County on business administration. I am not a single mom, but my husband is passed, but I have one son. And we are both involved with environmental issues in the communities and other communities. I have traveled a lot of places. I've been Canada and New York and DC and all different kind of places I've been. Every year I travel far away if I can. I am a cook, but I'm not a caterer. But I cook for many people. This week I got to cook for 600. My food is my ministry. I don't charge for the food. I don't charge anyone. That's my ministry. And I enjoy it and I make it flavorful. Well, people won't say this was nasty. I make it where people say this good. And one thing about it, I fix it where diabetic people can eat it because I don't use salt, I don't use pepper. I enjoy what I do. I am, in my church involvement, I am on the Shepherd Ministry, which is hospitality and making sure that everything goes well financially and physically inside of the church. I also go to Reverend Leo Woodbury, New Alpha, Kingdom Living Temple in Florence. I go there too. And that's my second home church. If I ever leave my first home church, I would be a member of the second home church. I met Reverend Leo. He's a good man. Just like you say, I'm a good woman. But on the issue with the biomass here in Richmond County, North Carolina, I live in a small town of 300 people. The biomass plant is up the road from my house. And it has 200 trucks a day traveling throughout the road where I live on. I live on the main highway 177. And it has 200 trucks a day with sawdust, wood chips, and logging. And the sawdust and the wood chips are not covered. And that means everything blows off. And it's not just this little town that's catching these dust and pellets and chips. It's all through the shipping, which is like 125 miles to get to Wilmington from where I live. And those are shipped down to the port. So you're looking at everybody getting hit by this dust, the wood chips, and also the logs that fall off the trucks. I mean, it's nothing for you to have this stuff coming off and blowing on your windshield and hitting your lid, the top hood of the car and everything. And here they increased on car washes. They built new car washes when this plant came. And they knew that this dust was going to mess up people's cars and homes, and the animals breathing this dust in, and the humans breathing this dust in. I have 12 people live in a little horseshoe lake where I live at. And in this little horseshoe area, 8 people out of the 12 has asthma. Some has 2 asthma pumps. A few got 3 asthma pumps. Along with the asthma pumps, they have asthma machines, breathing machines, have to get on day and night. This been since the Enviva plant moved here. I never had an asthma pump. And right now I have 2 pumps. And I never had it before Enviva got here. So Enviva added to the pollution that was already here. Here in Richmond County, we have 6 plants that are polluters. And we got 1 coming in. And those plants are CSX, Piedmont Natural Gas, Trinity Chemical Company, Purdue Farm. We got a sort of like a hog plant right down the road there, right below Duke Energy. And then we got Enviva. And I don't know if I said CSX, but we do have CSX. And CSX was one of the biggest polluters we had before Enviva came. Duke Energy is a big polluter. They service 1 million and X amount of people for Richmond County, which is only 47,000 people. So they are pumping up all this pollution into this little town and causing these people to get sick. The other plant, the International Tile Disposal Plant, is the new plant that's coming, and it make creosote. The creosote, they burn that in the kilns, and it causes pollution. And then that's going to add more pollution to the area. What people don't know is that the particular matter, you can't see it, but it does affect you. It goes in your mouth, your nose, even the animals. So your animal could have sinus problems, all different kind of problems with their nose and stuff like that, and you don't even know exactly where it's coming from. But I would like for you to introduce yourself and read up on biomass, because biomass is a big polluter. I had went and talked in Raleigh, and we have went down to Governor Cooper's office, and I talked in Raleigh, and in Raleigh, they first said that we might could make a bill out of that, trying to help get Enviva removed, but there was no more talk about it after we mentioned it. Whenever I did go up there and talk to him, there was no more talk about the bill. But Governor Cooper will not meet with us. He'll send message, and he sent his aides and his assistants to talk to us, but they don't have an answer. I have talked to Micah Reagan. Micah Reagan promised to come down and do something. This is before he left Raleigh, and Micah Reagan never showed up. And I hate to say it about them, but they really don't care about the people in the community.
And
They
Michael
really don't.
Reagan now heads up the EPA in DC, right?
Yes, he's there now. And I've sent him postcards. I have postcards that I mail out every month. I mail some out, and Micah Reagan and all Governor Cooper answered any of the postcards. When Beasley was running for office, I sent her some postcards, and she never responds to the postcards. You know, not getting a response means you don't care what happened to the community because you don't live here. That's the main thing. If you lived here, you would care more about the community. But that's just the way they are. I went to Washington, D.C., and I talked to quite a few legislators up there, senators and congresspeople up there in Washington, D.C. And there is some promising news. But sometimes I feel like the promising news ain't fast enough. It come too late. People done got sick, nosebleeds, headaches. All of this come from the wood pellet mill, because this wasn't happening before, but it's happening now. And once you go and talk to your officials, it's a nay for them, your local officials. We went and had tried to get a speak at one of the meetings. They turned us around, said we couldn't speak. And we went back the next month, and we had a meeting with the county commissioners, and they let us speak, but they made sure we knew 5 minutes. This world that has this in vivo plants in it, it takes more than 5 minutes to talk about a plant that's going to destroy your country. The wood that they're cutting down, they're planting back with these little trees. But in my neighborhood, they put all solar panels. So we didn't have no replanting of trees here where I live on this strip from in Vivo down all the way downtown to Rockingham. There's no replanting of no trees at all. Everything is solar panels. They're everywhere, and chicken houses. And chicken houses are bad polluters too.
Yeah.
But
So you have within how many miles are these 6 polluting facilities, and how many people live in Darben Heights? It's what percentage of Darben Heights is Black, and
100%.
how many miles?
100% for Darben Heights is Black. And we are like 2 miles from the plant. It was another question you asked.
All these polluting facilities are all located within how many miles?
We got CSX and International Tide across the street from in Vivo. We got Piedmont Natural Gas, Duke Energy, right beside each other. We got Trinity Chemical Plant, maybe a mile from in Vivo. And the farthest is Purdue Farm, 6 miles. Now, from my house to Duke Energy is 2.5 miles. So these plants are within a 4 to 6 mile radius altogether.
And they have, I know most state agencies don't take into account what they call cumulative impact. So when a plant is, and this is everywhere, South Carolina too, when a facility comes and requests a permit to build, they don't, let's say you have 3 facilities that emit toxins that may lead to lung cancer or something else. They don't take into account all of what's the impact from all of those plants. They just look at what pollutants come out of one, right?
Right. So we have a system going on now. Been in about 2 months or 3. We got a system going on about this air pollution, air monitoring. And what we do is we go up to the county commissioners meeting every month, and we sit in and listen to what plants they are bringing in. Then we go back and report that to the headquarters, and then they check into it to make sure that there's no cumulative impacts on the community. If there are, we ought to do a little further action before they put this plant on the ground. We're trying to stop the polluters from putting in before the public even know anything.
But
Yes,
aren't you
but
aware that you're dealing with the county commissioners,
Right.
but and you're dealing with the state, but aren't you aware that this is strictly an economic issue?
Yes.
And being an economic issue, first of all, we're always going to put these types of facilities near African American communities. That's always been the case. The challenge basically is that the way to deal with that issue probably has more to do with how do you deal with it from an economic standpoint. The county commissioners have a tax base that they're trying to protect, and they're going to protect their tax base. Their tax base being those plants paying taxes in that community, and they're going to protect that at any cost. So it's kind of a waste of breath and a waste of time to even have a conversation with the county commissioners. The economics start with having a conversation with Duke about the economics of what they're doing, or with Piedmont Natural Gas about the economics of what they're doing, or some of the others about the economics of what they're doing. What are they doing to provide health care in your community? They opened a clinic in your community. You talk about 8 out of 12 people having asthma. Have they opened a clinic in your community yet? Have they even talked about figuring out what is the short-term and long-term impact of what they're doing to the community? I look at Georgetown, South Carolina, which is in a very, very similar position to you guys. And the asthma rate, just like you said, I think in Georgetown, South Carolina, the asthma rate is number 3 in the country. And the cancer rate is off the charts as well. So the challenge becomes, how do you address this from an economic standpoint to the people who are making the money off of this process?
I've mentioned that to Enviva about the healthcare facility. They are not really interested in doing anything for healthcare. They don't do nothing inside of the community anyway. All they do is give turkeys out at Christmas time. And then this past Christmas, when they gave out the turkeys, it's 300 people in the community. They only had 180 something turkeys, and they couldn't even cover the whole community with turkeys.
Yeah, and I wonder sometimes, Debra, that when you bring up these issues to county council members or county council commissioners, what they call them in North Carolina, do they know what the impacts are on the community? They always come saying they're going to bring jobs. Have they brought jobs to the community?
I don't think they know exactly everything, because Enviva was shop for, like you go in the store and shop for groceries. They shop for Enviva. They went out and searched and brought Enviva in. There was no kind of impacts.
The question is not whether they know Reverend Woodbury. The question is whether they care.
They don't care.
Okay.
No.
And the question is not because they make it a habit not to live anywhere near these plants, don't they?
Right.
You
That's
know,
true.
when I look at Georgetown, South Carolina, and I look at the people who run the plants that are negative in Georgetown, South Carolina, they live in Pawleys Island. They live in Myrtle Beach. They live somewhere outside of the smell that you normally get when you go to Georgetown. And the reality of that situation basically comes down to the fact that they understand what's happening in the community. They understand a booming cancer rate. They understand the asthma rate going through the roof, but they also understand that I make a handsome living, whether it's as a county commissioner or whether it's as a person who's working in one of these organizations. I make a handsome living doing what I'm doing. And, you know, we have to, this plant has to be somewhere. Why not Richmond County, North Carolina? And the challenge basically is Richmond County, North Carolina, and Debra, as activists as you are, apparently you're not getting your message out to the community as a whole, and not just in Richmond County, North Carolina, but across the state of North Carolina, and even across the nation, because this is what you're talking about is a 60-minute story. Is actually a MSNBC story. It really is a story because it's devastating a community. Even if it's bringing jobs, it's still devastating a community.
Well, I got the word out. When I was in Raleigh, I was on the TV station. And the news got, oh no, I got calls back about the information I put out. But what it is, this is one thing you have to understand. The county commissioners doesn't care. They all for in Viva, they say so. And the little town I live in, the mayor is on in Viva's side. So if you, and the mayor here is our economic developer. So what do you do with something like that? If the person, if your mayor is on their side and your county commissioner is on their side,
all of the government officials are going to be on their side because they are looking at the revenue base. They're not looking at the consequences, and like you said, they're not even interested in providing health care and trying to figure out how to limit the effects of what they're doing in the community. But all government officials are going to be on their side because government officials don't want to see any loss of jobs. That's the first thing. No matter how much pollution and how many people die in that process, there's no government official that's going to write off jobs. We have that same problem over in Georgetown.
Right. And you know, the thing is, so there's been coverage on the biomass wood pellet industry on the front page of New York Times. CNN has covered it. It's actually an international issue because you have people fighting it in the United Kingdom, in the Netherlands, and Australia. And the main issue in the United States, you're absolutely right, Larry, that some people are making money. The landowners where the trees are being cut down, but there's no market for biomass wood pellets in the United States. All the pellets are burned with coal in Europe and starting now in Japan. So a lot of people are looking at it and saying, look what you're doing to environments and communities like Darwin Heights. And in return, the U.S. is the money is being made somewhere else because there's no market for these pellets in the U.S. And so that's one of the challenges is people being educated about the fact that yes, you get a few jobs, you get a lot of pollution, but there's no, you understand this as a businessman, Larry, we don't have any companies making money off of this, and the industry is expanding throughout the South rapidly. So that's one of the challenges. Yes, the commissioner and the landowners who sell the trees are making money, but the bulk of the money is being made where they burn these pellets with coal over in Europe, you know. So that's one of the things I know people have been lifting up. And Deborah, what are some of the other places that have these facilities in the South?
We have Sampson County, so was it Faison? I think Faison County.
Northampton, I know.
Yeah, Northampton, Richmond County. There's one more, it's 5 of them. I can't think of the other name.
In North Carolina.
Right, I should have wrote it down, but it's 5 of them. No, as far as I know, in North Carolina.
And then the Gloucester, Mississippi one just got fined $2.5 million for putting out more emissions than they were supposed to. Adele, Georgia, and there's one they're talking about bringing one to South Carolina, I know. But this is one of the things is this is a growing industry, and they're all being located in predominantly African American communities, right?
Yes, but they got another set of wood pellets coming out, wood pellet mills coming out. It's a different name than Enviva, but they are the ones I think trying to go more across the South.
I think that's Drax, right?
No, it's not Drax, it's another name.
Oh, a third
They have
company?
another, for the plant, for the Enviva, for the wood pellet plant, they has another name. And I should have wrote this down on a piece of paper, but I just was leaving the doctor's office a while ago, so I have to do it, you know, as I'm writing. But the wood pellet plant, I talked to one of the guys right there, supposed to be a response team. And I said, how many people on the response team? He said, 1, that's me. I said, 1 person can't solve the problems here in Dartmouth Heights. But he speak for the plant. He declares they have 105 people working there, but it's not 105 people there. It's only 20-some people, as I was told. The 105 is included in the loggers and the people that's shipping, you know, buying and shipping the pellets on the trains and all that. They count all those people as employees, which they probably is employees, but they don't work at the plant. And the plant, from the guys that work in the plant, I talked to them, and they told me the dust is real bad inside the plant. They have to wear those masks like the army people wear with that hose on it. And the dust still gets to them.
And what about CSX? Because, you know, we just had a train derailment not far from Florence in Lake City and Palatine, Ohio, and a couple of other places. So what are the things what's the problem with CSX?
CSX does not cover their products. Just like I live right across the street from the train track. And when they hauled the coal ash was not covered. So it's blowing off the train coming from Charlotte, going all the way to Raleigh or wherever it was going. It's blowing off the train. So is the wood chips and the sawdust that they are putting on the trains and bark. All of that is not covered and it's blowing off. And everybody, I say the whole country, if it's shipping way over to the UK, is being affected by this. The impacts from this stuff in that plant is horrible, and they don't care.
Now, didn't Duke a couple of years ago make some settlements with people around coal ash? That's what's left after they burn coal to make electricity. Didn't they pay people because people were getting cancer?
Yes, and some have more than cancer because that cold ash mess with your skin too. And it affects the breathing and everything. But quite a few people got paid for that. And the plant around here in Hamlin, there's a few people out there being paid because this old man, he had problems and they paid him off and then he wouldn't talk to us anymore.
So Larry had a good point. So if you're not getting any action from your local elected officials, what's it like when you go to DC?
Can you repeat that again, Rev Leo?
Oh, I said that Larry made a good point when he said that locally, a lot of counties are poor,
Right.
except for the cities. And so they're looking for how they can get money for their taxes, to fix roads and that kind of stuff, and job creation so that they can get more tax money. So if you're not getting a response locally, what kind of response are you getting when you go to DC, when you go to the White House?
You get a positive response of they're gonna, help get this done and get that done. You feel more confident in that than you do here with no response, not wanting to help. There's just about everyone I talked to said that they was going to get onto this with helping, and that one said that Enviva can get a grant on the federal level that could help with what we asked for here in Dobbin Heights with the issues we have.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked Enviva response person about it. He said, I never heard of that. I don't know. I'll check into it. But he never called me back.
Mm-hmm. So have you gotten any kind of response, any kind of help with the emissions or the air quality or?
No, we haven't got any of that, any help from that. We got small grants from a couple of funders, but first help with what we're asking, not from what we're asking, no.
So what are you asking?
We're asking at least for a healthcare trailer,
Mhm.
truck, a room in the community center, some kind of healthcare in Dobbin Heights, because we have to go 3 miles just for an urgent care. And that urgent care is small. And then we have to go 67 miles for a hospital. And if that hospital full, you got to go 25 miles to the other hospital. So we are, I think we got one hospital in Lawrenceburg, but it doesn't hold a lot of people in the ER either. So it's about 17 miles from here, from where I live. But if I've asked several funders and even Enviva and all, I've asked them for help with healthcare facility, just to check people, because these people that has asthma attack, they could die between the time they get 3 miles. And because see, we got a baby that has been diagnosed 8 months old with asthma right here in Dobbin Heights. And then we had a 1.5-year-old diagnosed, and he has a machine and a pump with asthma. So this is a dangerous situation here we're talking about, that nobody wants to, no officials want to talk about this kind of help.
Let me ask you, Debra. You mentioned in your introduction on the schools that you had gone to. I did not hear a law school in that in that discussion. So I'm going to guess that you haven't been to law school. Am you right? Would that be a reasonable guess?
No, I didn't go to law school, but I have a law.
Okay, so let me finish, please. So if you haven't been to law school, why are you not letting a lawyer handle this?
We had
And
we
not,
do, we,
and not a local lawyer.
no, we got someone in Raleigh that helps us. Now
No,
we
no,
sued.
not a North Carolina lawyer.
Oh, okay. I have to check on one. Well, we first got to get enough
You
funds.
need a crump lawyer.
So what kind?
A crump lawyer.
Ben Crump.
Ben Crump. You need a Ben Crump lawyer who's not going to charge you to come in and help you with this process, but who's going to deal with those entities that you're talking about. See, too many times in our community, we have people who are trying to advocate for change in our community, and their heart is in the right place. I mean, they really do mean well. But since they don't understand the legal process, for doing what they're doing, if they don't have somebody behind them who understands the legal action that needs to be taken. Go back and watch Aaron Brockovich, the television show, the movie, Aaron Brockovich.
I know her.
Remember the movie?
The water issue, yes.
And you're basically talking about a similar situation. And so my point basically is unless you have a strong lawyer. Now, by the way, most people don't know this. I just found this out recently. The lawyer stole all the money that was actually a part of that settlement.
Wow.
The lawyer literally stole all the money that was part of that settlement. But the reality of the situation is that's where your relief is. That's where your opportunity is to convince somebody that has some legal expertise to have these conversations. See, when you talk to plant manager A, or plant manager B, or plant manager C, and they say, I don't know anything about that. Then that lawyer files and says, well, okay, we need to know what your impact is on the community, how it's impacting the community, and what you're doing to deal with this particular issue.
Okay.
And it's a simple process. We tend to get caught up in I can argue my own case. If I'm going to court, I can guarantee you Larry Smith will have a lawyer. Okay?
Okay.
I don't care what it's for, Larry Smith will have a lawyer. And the reality is that I did not go to law school. I did not understand the legal ramifications of any of this information. I understand, and you understand, that they found the point of least resistance, which was your community. They put these facilities, and they did it based on financing and economics, and on their part, that's what you expect them to do. Now, what your community needs to do is figure out how to get somebody who's going to represent you, not in its government entity, because the government is not going to do anything in the state of North Carolina to kill jobs.
Right.
That's one thing that you guarantee. They're not going to do anything to kill jobs. But somebody who has a legal concept and the idea and talent to be able to move this particular situation forward. Because I hear what you're saying, and I almost bleed for what you're saying, because it's sad that in 2023 we're at this point in our lives.
Mhm. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you 100%, Larry. And you have these things like these biomass wood pellets that they have some scientists that say, oh, this is clean, renewable energy. but that's much like, we remember, Larry, when they had industry scientists who were saying that smoking cigarettes was good for your health, right?
Yep,
Of course, matter
So,
of fact, there's still industry scientists who tell you drinking a Coca-Cola 10 times a day is good for you.
yeah. So you have, so they have scientists on both sides who are, some saying we don't need this industry. On the other side, you have folks who, industry scientists, I call them, who say that no, this is actually good for the planet and people. And sometimes, as you said, you got to go to court for that, right? Or else you need federal intervention. Mhm.
Well, one of the companies that she mentioned, and I won't mention the name, got caught last year or year before last, paying the University of South Carolina to change a study as it relates to pollution and things like that in the community. And one of those companies is one of the ones that operates in the community she's talking about right now.
Mhm.
They paid one of the lead scientists at the University of South Carolina to change things.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
this is a fact. This is not. This is something that was reported in the state newspaper and in other mediums. So the reality of the situation is that, like you said a second ago, Reverend Woodbury, that they're doctoring the report to fit whatever situation they wanted to fit. And that's why we had such a challenging time with COVID-19, because people knew that scientists had been messing around and changing things and saying that things were safe when they weren't absolutely safe. And there were a lot of people decided that they were going to take the vaccine because they were afraid that the scientists had already changed the outcomes.
Mhm. Oh
And
yeah.
so we had a third or more of the population that was really saying, I don't care what you say, I'm not taking anything because I don't trust you as a government who would not manipulate us.
Mhm.
I might grow wings or a tail next month.
Mhm. Yeah, because we have, particularly in the African American community, we had the Tuskegee experiment where they let men keep syphilis on purpose just to see what it did to the body. The same thing with Henrietta Lack, and the same thing that happened with her, where the hospital just kept her alive to see what diseases would do to her body. And then back in the times of slavery, Dr. Marion Sims, whom they call the father of gynecology, who was literally buying African American women slaves so that he could actually operate on them and do studies. So yeah, when you get this kind of pseudo, I call it pseudo or false science, it has a devastating effect oftentimes, like you said, Larry. How many people, because folks question the science, how many people didn't get the vaccine during COVID? How many people lost their lives because they didn't trust the science? How many people got sick and were hospitalized because they didn't trust the science? So it's really important that, and it's hard to imagine that, you know, that science is something that you can debate about so often. When you have a community with 300 people, and how many did you say, Deborah, have respiratory problems?
8 out of the 12, but just about, I think about 40% of the community has asthma pumps and all, have breathing issues that I know of.
Mhm.
Well,
That never did. Go ahead, Larry. Mhm.
let's go back to North Carolina. You talked about all of the experiments and all of the challenges that Tuskegee situation, but remember, they were sterilizing women in the state of North Carolina without their knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So that they could keep down the Black population. This is the state that you're talking about. This is the situation that you're dealing with right here. We're not talking about what happened in Tuskegee, Alabama. We're not talking about what even happened in South Carolina. We're talking about this happened in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And
It's sterile. And the biggest reason they didn't have that they because they didn't want them having babies. And so, you know, economics is a funny thing. You know, when I say it's a funny thing, the challenge basically is that there are some people who for some reason believe that as long as they're making money, everything is okay.
mm-hmm.
And you know, I always leave it to the point of they believe that he who dies with the most wins. And so they're trying to make as much as they can and do as much as they can to make as much money as they can. And, you know, it's hard to get people to understand that money is not a cure-all for all of the things that go on in our world every day. It's hard to get people to understand that what Debra is talking about is health and the health of a community. And once you take the health out of a community, money and all the other things don't matter.
No. Mm-hmm. Health is I mean, what do you have if you don't have your health, especially an entire community? Excuse me, Deborah, I did find out some news today.
Yes.
If you call Adam Collette, I understand that Senator Cory Booker is looking for leaders like yourself to give some comments on a bill that he is thinking about introducing to the U.S. Senate. And the purpose of the bill is to do a health study on the impacts of the biomass wood pellet industry on communities. So you might want to call Adam Collette up about that. I just got a call earlier today where he was saying they're looking for people who can give can give some input on that bill. So Larry, maybe something might happen on the federal level if they finally decided to look at that. And thanks to people like you, Debra, who have been for 10 years, beating this drum that change needs to take place. Maybe we might see something. Maybe they may allocate some money for health facilities in your community.
Yeah. Did you talk about Adam that's with Dogwood Alliance?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, I will see him tomorrow. We're gonna meet with some people from Japan tomorrow.
Yes.
Coming down,
Yes.
looking at the plant and talking about the biomass.
And that's important because you're meeting with the people from Japan because the Japanese are starting to import these pellets from the United States too, right?
Right.
How did y'all come up with a meeting with them? Is that part of the Japanese government or?
I think it's part of the Japanese government. They wanted to come down. I've been talking with people from that area and from the UK, and in the past 6 or 7 months, I've been talking with them, and so they set up a meeting with Dogwood, and they called me and asked me to have a place for them to meet me and others in the community if they want to come.
So you're going to give them take them out to see the facility and take them through the community. Is that
Yes, give them a tour. It's a
Okay.
4 hour, it's a 4 hour day.
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay. All right. That's great. That's fantastic. And
yes,
that that's going to happen. Maybe that will help. I know there's some talk about, how the pretty much all of the governments in all the countries now are talking about phasing out over God knows how long, oil and coal. So
yes,
maybe biomass wood pellets might get on that list.
yes.
Who knows? But um, in the meantime, how is the community responding? Because you've been organizing for quite a while. I know some people are talking about you running for mayor there.
They want me to run for mayor, but my site is not good enough to run for mayor.
Mhm.
If it wasn't for
Okay.
that, I'll go for it because everybody in the community know me.
Okay. Okay. And the issue is, Larry, as you brought up, it's about money. And Dr. King talked about that. One of his quotes I remember is, we must move swiftly from a profit-oriented society to a people-oriented society. And we know how long ago he said that. So even then, that was a problem in Dr. King's days,
Yes,
that people put profit over people.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. So Larry, excuse me. I know one of the things I've heard was about the African American print media and them learning more about this. And I remember something you told me, Larry, and I've repeated it more times than I can count. That you said that when problems like that occur in the African American community, and it's good to get this stuff on CNN or the New York Times, but the people who are impacted the most read papers like yours, right?
Exactly.
Mhm. And so, Deborah, that's one thing whether it's Gloucester, Mississippi, or Adel, Georgia, or Darben Heights, North Carolina, to get the word out and educate people in the community. Um, you need to be reaching out to the Black press more often. Right? Do y'all have a Black newspaper in Richmond County?
No,
Um,
Okay.
JJ Mardrow, remember JJ, Reverend Woodbury?
Yeah. Hmm.
He's up there and he's trying to do something in that market. I don't know whether he succeeded in reaching your community yet, but JJ used to be the president of the Emmitsville NAACP, and he was, and is a reverend as well, and he was supposed to be doing some things in that particular community. As a matter of fact, I guess a few months, I can't remember exactly how many ago, he contacted me about how to expand in that particular market. We've considered expanding into that market, but we have not seen anything that will give us some reason to expand because we haven't seen the demographics of that market and what the demographics of that market look like, what they can economically support or would economically support. We have an American newspaper.
Hmm. Yeah, so you that might be something, Deborah, that y'all want to talk about, because and then Larry, the thing with Senator Granholm with the Department of Energy visit, and thank you for putting that on the front page of your paper. And I spoke with some media people, and your paper was the only one that had it on the front page. You have Congressman Jim Clyburn come, you have the Secretary for the Department of Energy, and you know, there's some folks who track this kind of stuff, and your paper was the only one had it on the front page, and several media outlets didn't even cover it at all. So, Deborah, it's good too, because you know certain papers they have. With Larry can explain this better. You have your own market, right, Larry? And one print.
My market is the African American community, and my priority is the African American community. I'm an activist publisher.
Mhm.
I'm a member of the National Newspaper Publishers Association with 250 other African American or activist publishers. And we take our duty and we take our position very fair. We lose revenue probably on a weekly basis because we have to take positions and publish stories that are not always the most timely stories. And you know, I know that Duke would not be happy with the conversation we're having now, but that's Duke's problem, not mine. The reality of it is I promised when I got into this business 40 years ago that I would tell the stories of the African American community. That's what I'm going to do. You know, the state newspaper, and Greenville News, and all those guys can come and go. The shoppers and the news journals and all those things, they can come and go. But my job, my responsibility, why God put me here, and I honestly believe this, is to tell the stories of the African American community and to highlight people and events that happen in the African American community. That's not going to always be popular. Matter of fact, we are perceived by majority corporations and other large, even nonprofits and other organizations as being anti-business, or anti-government, or anti-whatever. But we're not anti-anything. We're pro-black. That's what we're, and that's what we're going to be.
Yes, and you know, Deborah, even though even though like Larry Smith's paper may not be in your particular community, you know, because Inviva is sourcing trees from out of South Carolina to make these wood pellets. If you put an article in there, you'll be surprised, because your article, Larry, from last Thursday, I found out. I didn't get to see the paper right away, but I found out because I got a call from somebody in Washington, D.C., because someone saw saw your article, and they shared the link all across the country. So, you know, Deborah, sometimes you just have to reach out to folks who are not in the major media, you know. And
Yeah.
and they are telling me now that we got 2 minutes to close out.
Because of your proximity to us, how close you are to us, because you're right across the state line. We don't have any problem in you contributing a column on whatever basis that you can to our newspaper, and us providing in your community copies of our newspaper to be sold in your community. We don't have any problem in doing that. I can have somebody deliver them to a particular market. But so if that's one of the ways you want to get your story out, let us know. We don't have to create a whole nother newspaper to do that.
Oh yeah, that sounds excellent. As she told you, she worships with us on a regular basis. So that she might be able to take some papers there, right, Deborah?
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
And see, that's what I'm saying. So instead of us trying to remake the whole process and look at the demographics and all the other stuff, let's say if there's gonna be, we're gonna put 100 papers in your community every week.
Mhm.
And they can be sold at retailers in the market. And that way, your story gets out to the community, and you can tell your story on a regular basis. And the people in the rest of our readership get to read the story as well.
Absolutely. Now they're
Yeah.
telling me 1 minute, Larry.
Okay, well, let's get off of that. I've been running all day.
Oh, yeah, but as always, and we get so much feedback, Larry, from people who hear the show and they say it's great, it's wonderful, they learn so much because we have excellent guests like Debra, David, and the time just seems to fly by every week. But Debra, why don't you tell people how they can reach you and the concerned citizens of Richmond County, North
Yeah.
Carolina?
You can reach me at Debra, Debra, David, David, 600 @gmail.com, or you can call me at 910-461-6120.
And thank you. And you can reach me, Reverend Leo Woodbury, by going to info@newalphacdc.com. You can call 843-799-0740. And don't forget to go to our website, www.newalphacdc.com. And my co-host, the activist publisher, why don't you tell them how they can contact you, Larry?
You can reach me at the Community Times newspaper here in Florence, and my phone number here is 843-667-1818. Or you can reach us online at thecommunitytimessc.com.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Larry, once again for bringing fire and purpose to this show, and thank you so much, Debra. Continue to do the good work at the White House, in your community, at the governor's house, anywhere you can. Spread the good word that clean air, clean water, clean land is a human right for everyone. So, and thank you as well, all of you in our listening audience, for coming once again and finding out the things you need to know and the places you need to go. And the best way to do that is to listen to the Leo and Larry show. God bless, and God willing, we'll be with you next week.